Another edition of the Textile Bowl comes this weekend as the 1-1 Clemson Tigers will host NC State. Now, NC State has won 2 out of 3 in a series that's been typically dominated by Clemson, but Clemson still won 9 out of the last 11, and NC State has not won in Death Valley since 2002. So it's been a long time since they went on the road, picked up the big win at Clemson. They'll see if they can do it this time. They've really struggled on the road in ranked matchups. And so they'll see if they can reverse that trend. Now, Clemson's coming off a bye, and I think that's an interesting point of discussion, so I'll start there. You generally think of coming off a bye as an advantage, whereas NC State played Western Carolina, neutral site in Charlotte against Tennessee, and then Louisiana Tech. Now they've got a 4th game in a row before their bye. Well, Clemson had a bye after their big win over App State. I say big win because it was a dominant win over App State. But the past couple of years, Clemson's done pretty poorly coming out of their byes. In 2021, they had a squeak out a win at Syracuse, a 17-14 win. In 2022, they were blown out at Notre Dame. It was a 35-15 loss. In 2023, they lost in overtime to Miami immediately following their bye, then lost again immediately after that at NC State. So this year they have NC State. There's 2 byes. So they have NC State, and then later in November they'll have Louisville, both coming off a bye. So that's something to watch there. Maybe this bye week does not favor Clemson, especially with the timing where Clemson had gotten so much momentum after the ugly loss to Georgia, but then the really, really sharp performance against App State. You wish you could have just kept that momentum, but they have the bye. We'll see how that affects them. Now, NC State, for their part, has not looked great. They struggled against Western Carolina. It was 21-17. At halftime, they were trailing 21-17 at halftime before they scored 21 in the fourth quarter. Western Carolina did not score in the fourth quarter. So NC State wins that one 31-21. Then they get blown out in that Charlotte neutral game to Tennessee. Tennessee ran for 249 yards. It's 5.7 yards a carry. Their primary running back, Dylan Sampson, had 20 rushes for 132 yards. That's 6.6 yards per carry. He had 2 touchdowns. So NC State couldn't stop the run, and they cannot run the ball. Like, they can't run the ball at all. They didn't look good running the ball, particularly in short yardage against Western Carolina. They couldn't do it against Tennessee. They had 39 total rushing yards, and their running back they were so excited about, Jordan Waters, they brought him through the transfer portal from Duke. He had -4 yards against Tennessee. And in watching him, I don't think it's him. I think it's the offensive line. So that's a problem. NC State really has one weapon to worry about or to focus on now that they don't have any other good players. But Casey Concepcion is far and away their most dynamic and probably best player. He, through just the first 2 games, already has all of their receiving touchdowns with 3, 14 catches, 174 yards. I'm recording this before the NC State game. I'll post it shortly after. But frankly, nothing in that NC State game is really going to change this preview a whole lot unless Concepcion gets hurt, really. He's their guy. He's by far their best receiver. Justin Jolly, the tight end, is probably the second guy to watch. You go down to guys like Dakari Collins, Clemson transfer. We'll see if he can make an impact. But, we saw him at Clemson. I don't know that he's all that different now. Big outside guy, but not a super dynamic playmaker that I think is really going to challenge Clemson's DBs. So really, I think this game is mostly about Clemson. Do they take that App State momentum? Can they continue it? I watched the Aaron Murray breakdown. He did one that got a ton of views from Clemson fans for Cade Klubnik's performance against Georgia. So much so they did another one against App State. I'd encourage you to watch it. He points out a couple things I thought were really instructive. One is the long 76-yard touchdown pass to Bryant Wesco. That pass comes out just a little bit late. If that's against Georgia, it's probably broken up or maybe even a pick. The 41-yard pass to Bringstool, that's the wrong receiver. He's got another guy, I think it was Stellato, open more down the seam towards the middle, forces it to Bringstool. If that safety is faster, if it's against Georgia, that's probably a pick. Now, Georgia's not, or NC State's not Georgia, so those plays might still fly against NC State. But I think the Georgia game was not as bad as it looks. The App State game is not as good as it looks. So let's see where it shakes out. Here. I'd love to see Klubnik build on that game. I don't expect him to have 7 touchdowns again, but if he can have a 2, 3, 4 touchdown performance, I'd be pretty happy. When I look at the line, it's 11.5 That feels about right to me. I'm pretty down on NC State again. Recording this before Louisiana Tech, but I just don't know how their game against a team that went 3-9 last year is really going to change much. I suppose a breakout performance helps, and a struggle would certainly make it worse. But with an over/under right around 50 at 49.5, the implied score is 31-19, and that feels about right. But honestly, I'm not sure they can eclipse maybe 17 against Clemson. Concepcion's awesome, but if you can't run the ball, and Grayson McCall has not been great, I don't know that they get more than 14, 17, something in that range, and 31 seems about right for Clemson. So kind of leaning towards Clemson winning, covering, and hitting the under. But I'm not a bettor, and I'll consider these very early prediction, tentative for now. But I think you got to feel good about Clemson. Got to feel like this NC State game is a lot less scary than it was coming into the year. And bigger picture thoughts. I think the schedule is a lot less scary than it was because NC State is looking a lot less dangerous. Florida State is certainly looking less dangerous. I wonder if DJ Uiagalelei will even be the quarterback the starting quarterback when Clemson goes to Tallahassee. I hope he is, because that's a matchup I think will be a lot of fun. But I don't know that that's a lock. If they lose to Memphis or SMU, maybe they go ahead and start planning for the future. And then Virginia Tech, I don't think that they're bad per se just because they lost that opener to Vanderbilt, but they're certainly not who we thought they were. I see them almost certainly losing to Miami. I don't think they're quite as dangerous as we maybe thought. So I think Clemson's got a chance to go 11-1, but this will be a great litmus test to see how real that App State dominance was. App State safeties were bad. I think it was mostly Clemson, but it wasn't all Clemson. Part of it was them. So this will be a really interesting game to get a feel for just how real that was. We'll see if Grayson McCall, transfer from Coastal Carolina, can start to prove that maybe the slow start is just a slow start. He certainly needs to. He's looked like another Brandon Armstrong sort of experiment where they bring in a guy who had a great career at another school, but not coming off his best year, and then kind of trends down or continues to trend down. So he'll be trying to break that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, go Tigers. If you enjoyed this video, please help this channel by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Also, if you're a pet owner and you live in the upstate, check out our sponsor, Ready Vets. They offer immediate walk-in care when your pet can't wait. They're open 7 days a week till 10 p.m. They're owned by 2 Clemson grads. They're located in Taylor's, just 10 miles from the Woodruff Road shopping district.